right, it's due that we get to play with black. Sirshile. Okay, our opponent plays b3, very unusual at this rating level. Usually when someone plays a sideline like this, I recommend taking control of the center with e5. After bishop goes to b2, the most natural reply would probably be knight to c6. And that's probably what I would recommend doing, because the bishop was attacking the pawn on e5. Our opponent is going with the double fianchetto system, and we will take control of the center now with d5. Bishop goes to g2. Let's occupy the center with the other knight. And now we have a good control with knights protecting, or let's put it this way, knights protecting it. h3, the next thing we want to get the bishops out. It would be better if we get our kingside bishop out first, so we can castle as fast as possible. Our opponent is playing so-called hippopotamus opening, which usually then they will want to play d3 and e3 most likely and bring the knights out. Okay, now if I was playing in a tournament game, I would probably attempt to attack the kingside immediately, but for the purposes of this game, I want to play simple chess, go short castle to finish the development first before I go for the active operations. Pawn to d4. Now this is clearly a blunder because we have 1, 2, 3 attackers for that pawn, and he only has 2 defenders. So if he wanted to play d4, he had to prepare it with e3 first. However, that would have been a bad idea nevertheless, because we have finished the development and we are ready to open up the position, while white pieces are still undeveloped, so they are not ready to open the position up. Now the question is, how do we capture back on d4? Do we take it with the knight or do we take it with the bishop? I would probably prefer to take it with the knight, because I don't want to double my pawns. And now if bishop takes there, I'll take back with the bishop. So let's try knight takes d4. e3 was expected, attacking our knight and kicking it back. Now we have acquired the pawn, so now let's bring it back. Basically, bishop cannot take our pawn on e5 because the knight is defending now. All right, pawn to e4. Another mistake, I would say, because again we have 2 attackers for that pawn and he only has 1 defender. The question is, do we want to take with the pawn again or do we want to take with the knight? I think I will want to take with the knight again. Okay, I was hoping our opponent would not take on e4 and trade queens, because that would probably prolong the game a little bit here. And he didn't. He now plays c4, which should be a good move to attack the d5 pawn. And if we take on c4, then he takes on our knight on e4. But the point right now is that we can take on f2 and get a classic fork, so-called discovered attack, to win some material. This is usually one of the most common forks to watch out. Okay, with queen and the rook, when bishop and knight usually either comes from the e4 or the g4. Okay, queen to h5. We could take the rook right now immediately. We could also go knight d3 and take the bishop. Okay. Again, I would probably prefer knight d3, but now I'll take the rook because simply that is the most material that we can get. Now, knight d3 and knight takes b2 would win a piece, but since knight h1 wins the rook, we will gain more material because bishop takes h1, then we can also take the knight on g1. So we'll be up total of 5 points of material. And we can do a quick count here We have 3 minor pieces, while opponent also has 3 minor pieces, but we have 2 rooks, while they only have 1. Okay, let's go for the queen f2 threat. Start checking the opponent's king as fast as we can here. A very cheeky threat from the white here. They wanted to checkmate us, but let's start checking them first with queen to f2. King slides, then we can bring the rook to attack the king. Now the best move here would probably be blocking this with the bishop, but if I have to guess their move, they will probably play king to c1 because they want to keep an eye on h7 pawn. Oh wow, bishop to d4. I did not expect that one. All right, let's take it with the rook and keep checking the king. King moves to c1. Now I'll probably go queen to e3, or should we take immediately rook? Let's actually take the bishop immediately and threaten to go down the rook to e1, since right now we have queen controlling the second rank here. All right, queen to d1. We could go rook e1, win the queen, but the queen is not going anywhere, so I'll bring additional attackers to the game here with knight to d4. Bringing additional attackers in the game can never be a bad idea. So if knight moves away, then we'll go rook to e1 most likely. All right, let's do that. Now pin queen and the knight, queen and the king, excuse me. All right, rook goes to a2. Let's take. I could also go with the queen e3 actually, check first. I think that is actually slightly more convenient. Oh, we had knight b3 also. This guy's pinned, so queen would not be able to capture back, but all right, queen e3 check should also get the job done. And I really want to bring my bishop into the game as well. Okay, let's take the knight with the check and setting up for a very nice checkmate. Now, since the queen is pinned on the back rank, we have 2 attackers on the c2 square, and they only have 1 defender, which cannot capture because we will take back with the knight. Let's do a white game. I'm actually curious what they play against e4. Oh man, knight to c6. I was hoping they were gonna go e5 or some kind of the main line, but another sideline. I guess when opponent does not challenge the center immediately, we take control of the center. That is a standard reply. When we are given the center, we take it. Pawn to d4. Now we have good control of the center. All right, pawn to e5. They decide to challenge it now. Now we can capture there on e5. We could also push the d5 to gain the space, but I like simply taking because afterwards we can go f4 to kick that knight away. That would be one way. Another way actually would be knight to c3 simply. Which one should we choose? Let's go f4. They do say do not weaken this diagonal early on, but right now we gain a lot of space in the center with that move, so I would be okay with it. Bishop check can be blocked with the pawn, and if you can block with the tempo, it's always a desirable thing to do. Now he retreats the bishop. We're gonna develop our bishop, setting up for a double attack here on the c5 bishop and f7 pawn. Knight f6. Now on knight f6, I think we can go pawn to e5. Since they did not balance the center with other pawns, we can gain control of the center with e5 and poke this knight to gain even more space than we had before. Okay, I was hoping he was going to go knight e4, and the reason I was hoping for that is, yes, they do threaten knight f2 and double attacking us, but we can go queen to d5, hitting a lot of black pieces at the same time, especially the pawn on f7 threatening the checkmate. All right, understandably so, they choose to protect the checkmate, and that gives us the knight for free on e4. Oh, ouch. Always ask yourself before you make a move, especially if you're going on the opponent's territory, which right now black has crossed the 4th rank, right, which is the white's territory. Always ask yourself, is that square covered by any of the opponent's pieces? If they ask that question, they would see that that was covered with our knight on f3. So, yep, I was expecting them to resign immediately. Being down a queen and the bishop as early as move 11.